I'm Steve, also known as T201910 on social media. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how I do decreases when I'm doing stranded colour work. And I'm going to show you how I decrease around this steek in the middle here. So I've got an 8-stitch steek with 2 edge stitches on it. So I'm going to decrease here in these 2 stitches and in these 2 stitches in just the same way as I would for an armhole. I'm working in a checkerboard pattern, makes it very easy to see how the stitches are lying. So I'll just work up towards the decrease, one more stitch, and we have a light and a dark stitch that we're going to do the decrease on. Now, if I was working in a single plane colour, I would do a knit 2 together here so that the stitch was lying parallel to the seam. So I've got a right leaning stitch so that it will look neatly lined up against the seam, which will actually be made of the edge stitch. But look what happens now in the colour work if I do that. Just pull this back stitch tight a bit so you can see what's happening here. So you can see here you've got your colour work. You've got white, brown, white, brown, white, and when the next stitch is tied, those stitches will lie onto each other. So we've got 2 white stitches next to each other, which is not what we want. So if we undo that, and instead of doing a right leaning knit 2 together, I do a left leaning SSK. I'm succeeding in making these stitches quite loose by reworking them. You can see what's happened here now. We've got white, brown, white, brown, white, brown, white, and the dominant stitch here is the brown. Let's work our way over to the other side. On the other side, the seam will be leaning the other way, so it's where I would normally do an SSK. So that I've got a left leaning stitch so that it follows the line of the seam. Let's see what happens if we do an SSK on the left hand side of this. Slip, slip, and it's going to end up as a dark stitch and a light stitch next to it. And again, once things are tightened up, what do we find? We've got 2 dark stitches next to each other. Let's see what happens if we do a knit 2 together. So we use a right leaning stitch. Knit 2 together brings that left hand light stitch on top. Again, I'll knit through it so it's easier to see what's happened here. So with the right leaning knit 2 together, we've kept the light, dark, light, light, dark, light, dark, light pattern. And you can see that the dark stitch is tucked underneath. And if we look on the other side, again, the light stitch is tucked underneath the dark stitch. So you've kept the continuity of pattern going better. So on colour work, and you come to an area of decrease at the edge of the fabric, you want to use a decrease that leans towards the edge. So if you're coming up the fabric and to the left, you've got an edge of the fabric where you're decreasing, you do the SSK, the left leaning stitch, to do your decrease there. On the other side, where you're at the edge of the fabric and you're moving in towards the center of the fabric as you knit, you want a right leaning decrease, the knit 2 together, and that way you lay the correct color on top on the public side of your work. to keep the continuity of the row before the one that you're knitting at the moment. So that's the rule. To do a decrease in colour work, lean the decrease towards the edge of the fabric. Hope you found that useful. Until the next time, happy knitting.